We all say we want companies to self-regulate themselves, but what happens when a company voluntarily suggests they might do just that? Is there something more we have to keep an eye out for?
Xbox, Twitter, Uber,
Postmates,
Netflix, MoviePass,
Google,
eBay,
DoorDash,
Apple, Amazon, Airbnb,
The Apptrepreneur. Hey everyone, this is Kevin, the Apptrepreneur. If you are new here and you happen to like this video, please consider joining our crew by clicking the subscribe button and ringing the bell to let you know when we upload videos. That's pretty much almost every day, but still, it's nice to subscribe and it's nice to get notified. We talk about Uber, Lyft, Amazon, the gig economy, e-commerce, and even the streaming wars from time to time. So I've talked about Amazon a fair amount on this channel. And granted, when I started talking about Amazon, I got a lot of pushback. People did not like that I was going after their precious Amazon. But the more I talked about them, the more people realized that Amazon is pretty much just as big, if not a bigger, human rights violator company than Uber is. And times like this really make me, okay, I gotta take a step back. There are times when it's like, Amazon's just too big. They need to be split up. I think you can throw them in with other big tech. Google, Facebook, Twitter. Companies that have way too much power and are, you need to be breaking up. I mean, here's the thing. One of the things people don't realize is one of Amazon's big things right now, their cloud services, Amazon Web Services, provides space for the CIA. And part of the agreement is that if you use Amazon services, Amazon delivers that information for free to the CIA. Also, Amazon is getting into election systems. They are actually selling economically priced election processing systems, which means they are essentially in the business of politics. A big company that, a lot of particularly Democratic presidential hopefuls are threatening to break them up, and they are in charge of counting those votes. I know some of you might not necessarily like the idea of, a Democrat getting elected, but hey, I'm just saying that's a little shady. That is a little shady that someone who actually controls the votes has something to gain if certain politicians don't win. Well, we know that out of all the companies, Amazon is by far one of the most likely to be broken up. But here's the thing. Someone actually suggested that Bezos himself would break up his own company before he would let regulators do it. And here's the thing, on the surface, this sounds so good. Like, yeah, you should break up your company. You should be responsible. And then I remembered, this is Jeff Bezos. I mean, Jeff Bezos, this man right here, in my opinion, he's our real-life Lex Luthor. I'm serious. I'm not even joking about that. He is Lex Luthor to me. He puts on a smiley face. He's bald. He's got a big company that's so gigantic nobody can touch him. He owns parts of the media. He has money in space exploration for reasons we don't entirely know why, but, personally, I think they can't be good. And he's someone who basically, if he makes a decision, I have to question it, even when it's a decision that I personally want to happen. So let's have a little soul reflecting here and see what's going on here. So Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos could break up his own company before regulators do so themselves, Atlantic writer Franklin Foer writes. Foer, who wrote the Atlantic's November cover story entitled Jeff Bezos' Master Plan, said in an interview, and by the way, I really need to read this article. That sounds like a fascinating article. On Tuesday on CNBC's Squawk Box, that people close to the CEO believed spinning off Amazon Web Services from the e-commerce business would be the obvious thing for Bezos to do in the face of this. Quote, I think that eventually Bezos, who was seeing around corners, is going to break up his own company. AWS exists as its own fantastically profitable business, one of the few that Amazon has. There's no reason that it needs to be connected to Amazon, the e-retailer. And as he looks at what's happening in politics, where there's this increasing bipartisan consensus that big tech is a problem, I'm pretty sure he's going to say, okay, fine. Of course, an Amazon spokesperson declined to comment. Andy Jassy, CEO of AWS, said in the interview in June that Amazon would comply if regulators required a spinoff, but Jassy said there was no benefit to separating AWS now. Of course not. They are collecting information from the Amazon.com website. And here's another thing. I don't have the article pulled up right now, But for the first time in years, Amazon Web Services, or at least their advertising agency, has actually chipped away a little at Google's dominating AdSense, because more people are using Amazon than Google, and Amazon has advertising, and they're using things like the AWS to get information from their customers so that they can sell ad space to advertisers. It's very convoluted how it all works, but it's mad scientist, brilliant level stuff that goes on. So far, so here's the thing. AWS accounts for 13% of Amazon's total revenue in the second quarter of 2018, but a whopping 52% of its $3.1 billion in operating income for the quarter. So far, Google and Facebook have received the lion's share of antitrust speculation, but Amazon still faces headwinds in the form of antitrust inquiries from the House Judiciary Committee and a reported probe by the Federal Trade Commission. The U.S. Justice Department has also announced a broad review of the tech industry, though it did not call out specific companies. Lawmakers have previously focused on the data Amazon collects from third-party sellers on its e-commerce platform, which is a problem, where it also sells its own goods, questioning whether Amazon uses data from other merchants to its own advantage. And by the way, I can pretty much confirm that that's true. We all can confirm that's pretty much true. We have had multiple stories where a small mom and pop business store have sold on Amazon. And they were doing very well for a long time. For several months, they're selling a bunch of items, and then one day they realize the sales stop. And they don't know what's going on. And then they go on Amazon's website and they find that Amazon is stocking their most popular items at a lower cost. Well, that's interesting. Why would they do that unless they were looking at what was selling and decide, oh, that's selling, let's take that away from them. So here's the thing. Why would I be concerned if Bezos decided to do this? Again, I think Amazon should be broken up. They really should. I don't know if I want Jeff Bezos to be the one to do it, because the thing that I'm concerned about is Bezos would split up AWS from Amazon. It become its own publicly traded company, but Bezos, maybe in that process, negotiates a controlling share of stock and maybe even the CEO of AWS. You think one man can't be the CEO of two companies? Well, just talk to Jack Dorsey, who is the CEO of both Twitter and Square Cash. Jack Dorsey controls two companies. One, a social networking platform, the other, a way to send and receive payments. Kind of terrifying, don't you think? However, that's just me. Maybe it is just me. I don't know. I get so worried about Amazon. I know a lot of people are not concerned about this company at all. But again, I am. And it actually even makes me a little nervous when I read that Amazon's advertising services were cutting away at Google for the first time. I would have definitely preferred another company to be chipping away at Google, because it's like, yeah, the last thing I need is for one business to be losing business to another ridiculously powerful and all-controlling corporation. No, not for me. Not at all. And look, seriously, if Bezos ever stops running Amazon, he could be a Lex Luthor in a Superman show. He really could. So, what is this going to happen? Who knows? It's all speculation at this point. I would not be too surprised. Because Bezos is, for all of his faults, he is a man who thinks 10, 15, 20 steps ahead. He started as a bookseller and realized he wanted to sell more than just books. And every business he gets into it because he suspects it might lead to something. Now, grocery delivery didn't exactly go anywhere, but they turned it into like the Amazon delivery service. Whatever that is. I even forgot what it's called at this point. And he predicted streaming, and so I think Amazon Prime Music was one of the first streaming music platforms out there. He is actually the first one. I think even the other streaming services, they don't realize that when it comes to the streaming wars will be won from the sites where you can buy and stream. Amazon Prime does that, although I have made that other video about the bait and switch that could be. So, yeah, Bezos, if he's fearing being broken up by the government, he might just break it up himself so that he leaves himself in a lot of power of the company. And I don't know, I guess the government would have to decide if they can sue an individual for antitrust. That's a much tougher case to make, I think. However, that's where we're going to leave this. What do all of you folks out there think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think this would ever happen? Do you want it to happen? Or do you think Amazon should just keep growing and growing, getting bigger and bigger? Love to know your comments, so comment below, like, favorite, share. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. Totally optional, of course, but even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly and you get access to my Patreon's exclusive blog. If you want more content from me, check out Kevin T. Rodriguez, the Apptrepreneur vlogs, and Autograph Hound. And finally, if you want to talk to me or other fellow e-commerce people out there, check us out at the Apptrepreneur Hangouts on Facebook. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.